All right, everybody, welcome back. And on today's episode, we're just going to do a little quick update and take a quick look around. 90, doing good. 55 on the rack with the Corys and the Guppies, doing good. 55 with the Corys, doing good. The 20 gallon on top now is planted with the sand. I'm going to see if we can get these guys to go. We'll see. The other 20 is still doing good. Yeah, it just has shrimp in there, really. A couple of snails, I guess. In here, also, should be a couple of shrimp in there. That scared me. That was my filter went back on. Sounded like somebody was breaching the water. So these guys are planted. Now, believe it or not, I know it's probably just wishful thinking, but these ones right here, they kind of look like they might be taking right away. Okay, so that's those guys. The 55, I'll back up a little bit again here. The reason why I'm doing this update is I vacuumed, so the room doesn't look as disgusting as it did the other day. So 55 with the guppies doing good. The empty 55 with all them snails and shrimp doing pretty good. I gotta say, the shrimp did real good in that tank again. I'm just gotta clean up all those snails. There's really is a million snails. I mean, you could see, besides those bigger guys, but you see every one of those little tiny guys is another little guy. You know what I mean? Look at that, between those two guys, which are pretty small. If you look at that little guy. So all those little tiny guys got to get out of here. They got to make way for the shrimp, because the shrimp hopefully will explode in there with no fish eating them. So that's those guys. Then as we cruise around, we got the 55 in the middle. And those guys are doing pretty good. Those empty tanks on the bottom still there. Okay, so this is the 135 now. I noticed that she looks a little chubby. So I was going to try to attempt to take her out of this tank and put her in this 20 gallon with just these little baby fry molly guys, because I think that what usually happens to these mollies, especially in something like that tank right there, is as soon as she goes to have her little fry, those other guys eat them immediately. They don't even have a chance to hide in the roots and stuff. I mean, it's possible maybe a couple of them get in there. I did see a little tiny black molly the other day on one of the leaves. He was kind of just like hiding up there, but I don't really see anybody. I don't even see him anymore. It makes me think he got taken out pretty fast. So we're going to see if we can... I tried to grab her before, but it was kind of stressing everybody out and her, and I didn't want her to squirt any little babies all over the place. So I said, you know what, I'll wait a little bit. So I fed them a little bit to calm them down. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting her, I think, in here with these guys, because I'm pretty sure they're really a lot more comfortable by themselves, especially with those mops. They kind of just go in the back there in the dark, and they have their kids, and then they just sit there without the stress of, having all these other things all over the place. And then, of course, these guys are doing really good. Let me get out of the reflection here so you can see better. Yeah, these guys are doing real good. Okay, so these guys, too, pretty soon have to come over to this other tank here, which... This is now the 125 that we fixed, and the plants are, we're hoping that they actually don't just melt away and die, even though I think they might. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But so what I wanted to show was what I got, I was telling everybody I was gonna get, I wanted to get like a sunken ship, you know, in here. But here's what I ended up getting. I ended up getting this. I don't know if you can see that. Now, I'm not exactly probably the greatest model maker or builder, whatever, but we're gonna attempt it. So what I got that tank. Now, if you look, it says 33.5 inches long, right? Well, believe it or not, with those fins in the back, they're called Cadillac fins. I wonder why, but with those fins in the back, it's actually 39.5 inches. And 39.5 inches in this tank right here is like, I'm gonna back up for a minute, is like the whole tank. I mean, I think the tank is 72 inches. So if that leaves 32 inches, that really only leaves like 16 inches on each side. So you're talking about, you know, I guess you're talking about whatever, 16 inches and another 16. So like that whole thing is going to be all sea view. So what I did was, it comes with the flying sub, of course, which is the coolest. But it also comes with a bunch of other stuff, which we don't really, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to deal with those things. We might just have them at the bottom, like kind of just sitting there if we can, without floating away and stuff. But what it comes with is, if I'm correct, it comes with two pylons, one here and one like back there that hold the main ship up, and then this little guy gets his own pylon, and he's kind of like flying up, you know what I mean? I'm almost positive that that's going to be in that box when I open it. So what we're going to do is, I got some fiber optic cable here. I'm not an electrician. I guess I'll solder and do stuff like that. I also got a pack of I don't know if you can even see that, but LED lights, 3mm, they are LED lights, right? I got this little gadget that does, for when you're working on stuff, like you could, I guess it's called like the third hand or helping hand. It's called like the third leg or the the helping hand. And then I got some shrink tubing to go over everything. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up having to get more shrink tubing, but we'll see. And I'm not even sure. So now this is going to be a big giant test for me. So what we're going to do is the model. Let's go skip over how we're going to get there and just get to the end point, which will be the model in the tank facing this way, so that the tail end is back there where it's pretty dark, and the nose of it will be up here, right? Okay, so it's gonna, and then down there, here's the nose of the big ship here, right? And then down over here somewhere will be the flying sub in the plants, like, you know what I mean? Now, how are we, and it's gonna be lit up. So the flying sub will be lit up with let's skip how we're gonna get there and just go to the end point for now. It looks like it has two lights in the front, like headlights, and it's probably got a clear interior windshield that we could probably light up in there. So that would probably be, I guess it's got like three lights there. Then this guy's got two lights here. It's got that front light there. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have a green, let me get out of the way, a green and a red navigation lights up here like a regular boat. Then it's got, excuse me, interior lights, because it does have a pretty detailed like cockpit with, Richard Basehart is hanging out in there. And even in this, I think there's actually like two cockpit seats with like two dudes actually sitting in the seats. So we're going to try to really do a good job painting and all of that. I'm not a good painter, so they might end up looking like, the thing from another world. But on the back, way back there, you got, let me see if I can get in there. You got two Cadillac tail fin rocket lights in the back. So these guys are going to be lit up. And then the motors, the engines in the back there, they look like, jet thruster motors back there. I figured maybe what we could do is we'll light them up too, almost like I've seen guys do like the Enterprise and whatever Star Wars, not Death Star, Star Destroyers, and they light up the engines like with that blue kind of glowing pulse, whatever you want to call it there, hyperdrives or whatever. Anyways, so those will be blue. So how are we going to do that now is a different story. First of all, the first thing is why I asked last time about glues and paints and stuff. The paint, I'm pretty sure everybody so far has agreed that I think it's Krylon Fusion is safe. It's pretty safe to use. Now, I don't plan on really going totally, crazy ballistic with trying to detail stuff. I would like to get a little bit of some interior where it's lit up and you can see little dudes in there and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Another thing was the glue. And again, I was thinking to myself, I would like to use some kind of, if possible, maybe like a UV glue. I don't really want to use any kind of glue that has like that solvent kind of stuff in it where it's actually like bonding the plastic together by kind of melting it. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure. So I got to look into that a little more. But okay, so that's two things there. And then how do you light it up underwater? And that was the kind of thought about that for a little bit, and the easiest, well, I don't know if it's going to be easy, but to me it seemed like the easiest way to do it would be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, now I'm going to try to explain this, okay, so bear with me. Also, thank you again to everybody who subscribed. Please like and subscribe and other things that YouTube people talk about and tell you to do. I'm new, so I have no clue whatsoever. I'm just a crazy dude in his garage that got stuck taking care of a bunch of fish. Okay, so what's going to happen is, I told you it has two like pylons that are like, to hold it up, let's say for display purposes, and one pylon that this guy gets. So what we're going to do is, starting with the sub first, we're going to put fiber optics in all the places we want to put them. We're going to run them through the interior of the ship. Down, now let's go through this first. Down the pylon, okay, that is holding it up, so you won't really see them. It'll go under the sand of the tank, of course, and it'll go up the front pylon of the sea view of the sub, because that will be the one closest to that. So now the lights, the fiber optics from the flying sub to the sea view are under the sand. They're there, they're connected, and they go up into here. Now, you're only going to have, I'm not even sure how many you're going to have here. 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe a red light somewhere on there. I guess you could even do one of each. Now, those fiber optics are pretty thin, and I have to test them yet, because this is the first time I'm going to do anything like this. And the way I'm going to do it is, we're going to have that fiber optic go to that pylon, go up here and join into a whole braid, or we'll call it a braid of more fiber optics that are connected to the lights, the interior, the green, the red, and as it gets to the back here, these blue lights and stuff for the tail fins will come down into this pylon. All these lights and this sub one that come up here will all now go into one thread, one weave, or whatever the hell I called it, down into that pylon. So now the pylon, all these fiber optics are going to be coming out of that back pylon, which is going to be way back there in the darkness, kind of, is where the back of the boat will be. So the pylon now will come down, the fiber optics will go out the bottom, go up the tube, up the side of the tank there, and then up onto this shelf here, where there will be, I will build a box, basically a light box. So the lights will be here, the LEDs will be here, and the fiber optics will be connected to the LEDs, shining down into shining down into down the tube of fiber optics into the first pylon, through the ship, down the pylon, into the up the other pylon into the flying sub, and that's where it will end, and that'll be the thing. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, of course, YouTube. You could do anything on YouTube. You could change the transmission with nothing but a hammer if you want. If you want, just look it up on YouTube. Okay, so what you're going to do is we're going to take these things. Now we have to figure out the voltages, if we need resistors. I don't want it to run on batteries because I think that is the cheesiest stuff ever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get it to run on a regular outlet. You know what I mean? Plug it in. I guess whatever that is, 110, 120, whatever. I don't even know. But just my regular, my regular outlets. And so we're going to try to do that. So what we're going to have is they actually have, it's kind of crazy, but they have green, blue, red, yellow, and white in these 3mm LEDs. So I figured the green and the red will be the navigation lights on the big sub. We might even put them on the little sub because that fiber optic stuff is so tiny. So what my test is going to be is, okay, well, anyways, the green and the red will be the navigation lights. The blue will be stacked up for the Cadillac tail fins and the engines. The yellow will go for the interior of the cockpits to make it a little more, ambient or whatever you want to call it. And of course, the whites will be all the headlights, the searchlight. That's pretty much it. So that would be cool. And then they each have like little bit of a different value. So you kind of have to figure that out. And if it needs a resistor and everything. But now from what I've understood is, if you get yourself one of those little how can I put this? Like you got something like a little lamp or something, and it has this little black box that's the power supply, and on the power supply it will tell you how many volts the power supply is. Now you plug that into your wall, but if you look on the back of that thing, a lot of them will say something like 12 volts. Now, from what I understand is, so long as you don't exceed the voltage of the LEDs of what you're passing through there, then, it should be good. So obviously, if you went straight from an outlet, you're talking about 100 whatever, right? 110 volts or whatever, 120 volts, whatever it is. Yeah, that's going to blow the crap out of those things. So of course you can't do that. But 12 volts, if you think about it, is almost perfect of what if now again we have to test out how bright these are for one single strand of fiber optics connected to it, a bunch of strands, to see how much you can get glowing out of it. But if you look, they're kind of like, and I don't know if you can actually see, and if I can see at the same time, but there's like 3.2 volts, 3 something volts. It's like 2.2, 2.2, and 3.2, I think. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's like, if you just hooked up one of each of these in a series, then you could probably light this with one of those little power blocks that you see on like appliances and stuff or whatever. You might see it on like a monitor, those little monitors and stuff. So we're going to try to check that out. So that was my big reveal for the day. We're going to put that in there. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, and that is my ramblings for today. Have a great weekend.